Hey, Emily and Ava, this one is for you guys as well as for everybody else who's requested a Panic at the Disco song. There have been a lot of those requests and it is finally here. So you are welcome and I'm super excited to be doing this because This Is Gospel is not only a deep song, but it's musically really well put together and it's written by the singer-songwriter himself, so that's a really cool experience in this day and age of manufactured songs. Plus, it's one of those songs that really got me into the alternative rock, not quite indie, but definitely like unique sounding musical scene, and I really appreciated the effect that Panic at the Disco has had on my musical choices. This Is Gospel is a deep song. It's got tones of drug addiction and anti-religious themes, so it's gonna be pretty interesting. Let me explain. Hey everybody, my name is Clifford Stummy and I am the Pop Song Professor. Welcome to my channel. We're all about helping music lovers like you guys to understand the deeper meanings of popular songs so that you know what your artists are saying and can enjoy your music more. Today we're talking This Is Gospel by Panic at the Disco. And before we go on, don't forget to check out my Patreon in the description down below. You can partner with me and we can choose songs together. You get access to behind the scenes stuff. It's a super cool place and it makes this sort of like educational, help the world understand their music project possible. Thanks to all my current patrons. It's really great talking to you guys and I cannot wait to talk to you again in our next monthly podcast. But let's talk This Is Gospel. If you've done any research on it at all, you know that Brendon Urie wrote it for the drummer of the band. His name was Spencer Smith, and the reason Urie wrote it for him was because Spencer was struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. They had both grown up in very conservative homes, and so when Spencer grew up a little bit and had access to the drugs and the alcohol, he says in an interview at one point that he was kind of making up for lost time. Well, it started to tear the band apart, and it left Urie kind of confused as to where the band was going to go and what this meant for his friendship with Spencer. So he wrote this song for Spencer. He sent it to Spencer. Spencer appreciated it, and I think that Urie infuses a lot of his own personal feelings about religion into this song too. So I think there's multiple layers here. Yeah, so it's a pretty deep, interesting song. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the most important lyrics in this song. Verse 1, this is gospel for the fallen ones locked away in permanent slumber, assembling their philosophies from pieces of broken memories. Now, based on what we know of the song being about Spencer Smith's drug addiction, it sounds like he's talking about how he wants to provide a gospel or a way to salvation, essentially, for people who are affected by drug addiction. They're locked away in this permanent slumber of drug addiction, assembling their philosophies from pieces of broken memories. So they are just trying to fit things together and make life work, trying to understand the world, but it's only by broken memories, and they're kind of assembling their own philosophies, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they are lost. Now, it's interesting. Brendon Urie came from a Mormon background, and he appreciated some aspects of his religious upbringing, but there were other things that he really didn't appreciate. And I would have to say that sometimes he's downright antagonistic to the faith that he comes from, and I think he uses a lot of the imagery and the faith symbolism in some of his songs as subtle attacks or digs at it. And so it's interesting that he calls this song, This Is Gospel, because I think we should take the title literally. I think he's saying, this is gospel. This song is gospel to these people who need it. And I think he's saying, in a way, you know, this is a gospel that is in exchange for, you know, the Christian gospel or the Mormon faith in this case, in his case. And he's saying that, no, like, I've got something better for you that will save you. Now, if he's the one bringing the gospel and writing the gospel, who does that make him? I mean, it could make him a disciple, but I really think he's sort of like the Christ figure in this scenario. And now, if he doesn't believe in faith, that's not necessarily blasphemous for him to do, right? It just means that he's saying, I have the answer, and I can help you. So he continues, this is the beat of my heart in the pre-chorus, and this is kind of him saying, this is my sincere, honest feelings, like these are what I'm trying to communicate to you. He continues, the gnashing teeth and criminal tongues conspire against the odds, but they haven't seen the best of us yet. Now, the drug addicted could be the gnashing teeth, which would kind of make sense because they would be the ones cast out from the religious people's halls, or they would be, as referenced in the Gospels, those who weren't in heaven. And so he could be saying that those are those people, and they're going to conspire against the odds. So the odds are set against them, but they're going to try to overcome them, but they haven't seen the best of us yet. So we will overcome this, like we have the strength. Because they don't know exactly what they're dealing with. And that's my personal theory about what the pre-chorus means. In the chorus, and I looked this up on Genius.com, and apparently it switches points of view, which I'm always really annoyed when a song does that, because how am I supposed to know if you're switching point of view? That's crazy. But anyway, we'll work with it. So I think that the "If you love me, let me go" is Spencer Smith saying, if you love me, let me go. Like, I want to be able to go and do this stuff and do my own thing. And then Yuri responds, because these words are knives that often leave scars. Or maybe Spencer is saying, you know, the things you're saying are hurtful. But Yuri cites the fear of falling apart and saying, like, maybe that's the band falling apart or something like that, or the friendship falling apart. And truth be told, I never was yours. I never was yours could have been Spencer Smith saying that, or it could be both of them together saying, no, we will fight back, something like that. But a declaration has been made and the struggle continues. Verse 2 is very similar to verse 1. The one thing I want to point out is that these people are confessing their apostasies led away by imperfect impostors, which I think is a dig against the church or against any form of Christian faith, because he's referring to the vagabonds, the ne'er-do-wells, insufferable bastards who are confessing their sins or the things that they've said against the church, which is what apostasies means, you know, basically. And he says that they're being led away by basically hypocrites who make these own mistakes themselves but are calling other people out for those faults. Sounds terrible, right? It's not a very nuanced approach to it, and of course it's going to be difficult to nuance your approach in a 2-3 line verse, but it's definitely how Yuri feels, and it's an interesting, you know, perspective to look at and to be able to discuss with. Yeah, the song ends with the line, "the fear of falling apart," repeated again and again, and I think it's interesting because it really kind of brings it back to the friendship and the relationship. That's what has power here. In this song, Yuri is saying that the gospel does not have power, the drugs do not have power, but what's important is this relationship, and that relationship could have power, but we're going to have to work on it, and we're going to have to do something about this drug addiction that our friend has. In any case, that's my explanation of This Is Gospel. Panic at the Disco fans, I am so happy to finally be explaining a Panic at the Disco song for you. If you like their music and you want more explanations from me about them, one thing you can do that a lot of people can't, go to my website and search Panic at the Disco, and you're going to find a ton of other explanations that I've done for the band. And if you want more video explanations, don't forget to join the Song Meaning community, check out some other videos on this channel, and comment below a new Panic at the Disco song you'd like to hear me explain in a future video. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I hope that you have a great rest of your days.